Just give me one second. One
Mhm.
minute. Yeah, hi. Good afternoon to all. My name is Arya Vikramaditya from MIT University, Noida. I feel pleasure to have an opportunity to introduce the eminent corporate guest of the day. With blessings from visionary Honorable Founder President Sir and respected Chancellor Sir and guidance from Vice Chancellor Madam and our Dean Sir, we are organizing this guest lecture series. And it is our immense pleasure to announce that AICSM MIT University is organizing this lecture series with Health Prax, the growing healthcare technology company based in Germany and is headed by Ms. Yojana Shahjain. I am very thankful to her to offer their services to MIT University for industry expert webinar talk series. And this is obviously this is the first talk of this series. So today we have an opportunity to get insights from our esteemed corporate guest, Dr. Anamika Datta. She is going to deliver the lecture on the topic management in the healthcare industry. Before starting the session, I would like to introduce our guest to the students and all the respected listeners. Dr. Anamika Datta is currently consulting product lead at HealthPrax and also working as a product manager at Zalando and has 5 years of product and e-commerce experience across Zalando, Amazon, Flipkart, and a few other companies in B2C. Back Backend and enterprise products. She also founded her own people development company in India after her MBA and is a dental surgeon by education with a bachelor's in English literature on the side. Uh, Dear Dr. Datta, you are most welcome to MIT University to be the part of this guest lecture session. Over to you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate being here today. My name is Dr. Anamika, like I was introduced, and today I would like to talk to you all about the management careers in a very, very promising potential health tech sector. I speak today on behalf of HealthPrax. Like mentioned, HealthPrax is right now one of the most upcoming health tech innovative companies that was founded in Germany, is based out of a dream that was created by Mrs. Yojana Shah Jain. And now we are working really hard to make that dream come true. Why I want to talk about health tech and management careers in health tech today is because I myself did my MBA in hospital administration and healthcare. So, without further ado, I would like to share with you some of the learnings and some of the reasons why you should maybe think about a career here. So, like I said, my name is Dr. Anamika. I'm a qualified dentist by education, but I don't practice anymore. I have 3 degrees in different fields. I did an MBA in healthcare management and hospital administration from SIHS Pune. I was born in Delhi, so this is where the connect is. And I have now over 6 years of strategizing innovative digital experiences across 2 continents and 3 industries, including fashion, healthcare, as well as real estate, surprisingly. Now I'm consulting HealthPrax as a product lead, and we are going to be talking a little bit more about what I do here. But more importantly, this is the most frequently asked question I face in my life. What are the upcoming opportunities in healthcare for managers? Because when you typically think of healthcare as an industry, we mostly think of doctors, nurses, and para nursing services, and of course we think about maybe something as close to management like hospital management and healthcare administration, WHO, UNESCO, these kind of services. But there's a lot more that is going on in the sector, and we're going to talk about it today. So, just for my personal story, why I chose this area of work and why I want to be associated with health practice, because, like I said, I was a doctor. I wanted to always be a doctor. So, I did my dentistry, and healthcare is a field that I feel like you can work here, you can help others, and you can learn yourself. It's so satisfying to be able to do good work and and also personally gratifying. So that combined with business management that I learned during my MBA, as well as when I was doing my own business, combined with technology, because health prax is the technology partner for doctors. So what were the best way to combine all of these three passions of mine? Well, you can say that the best combination came out at HealthPrax, which is a health tech and a health tech organization. And therefore, I chose this area of work today. Now, let's talk a little bit about the healthcare industry and how it stands today. There are a lot of challenges in this industry, and some of these we know about, some of these we might not know. The good thing about challenges is when there is a challenge, you need people to solve those challenges. And that's why we need people like you and me and Yojna to be able to address these challenges. So let's have a look at what the enemy looks like. The first challenge that we face today, surprisingly, in healthcare is cybersecurity. Maybe you have heard about how we are digitizing data and how we are making all of this health data for patients available in a digital format, which used to be files on paper before. But now, as health records are getting digitized, there's also a threat of cybersecurity being mishandled or in a way not being handled properly. And this needs to be addressed because cyber safe security is of utmost concern to everybody involved in the healthcare industry. The second challenge is the challenge of telehealth. As we have seen during Corona, it's not always possible to go and see a doctor in person, especially if you have flu like symptoms. And in a country like India, and even in countries in Europe, it's very, very hard sometimes to find an appointment with your doctor. Sometimes the doctor lives very far away. Sometimes you're traveling. Sometimes it's just physically impossible to go and see a doctor personally. And telehealth is therefore coming up as a very, very important part and part of the healthcare industry. And it is an industry tile that's going to grow faster as we speak in the next few years. And we'll come to that in the next few slides. The challenge here is to to match the growth and the need of telehealth with the technology that is available today and the resources that we have available today. Also, the number of doctors that we have are not sometimes enough to cover the population. This is also where telehealth comes into picture. Third is wherever there is payments and invoicing, there will always be challenges related to payments and invoicing. And these are the kind of challenges that relate to people who don't have health insurance, people who don't have enough cash on hand, people who do have cash but want to use electronic methods. This is also tied back to point number two. If you're using telehealth, which means that your doctor is not physically present where you are, then you need to be able to pay them and you need to be able to do it virtually without physically handing in cash and checks. The fourth challenge is the patient experience. We have all seen maybe the difference between, or maybe we all know the difference between the experience in a hospital where it's overcrowded or the doctor is not present or the equipment is not available versus another hospital or a clinic where you are given faster service, you don't have to wait in line, you don't have to sit around with other sick people. And these are just some of the ways that patient experience can be detailed. Other patient experiences that can be increased are, for example, the kind of care that is available, the hygiene concepts that are put into place, the expertise of the doctor, the bedside manner of the doctor, how you feel, how transparently the doctor is able to communicate your treatment plan to you. All of these come under patient experience, and this is another challenge as we go forward. Patient experience is going to be the one thing that divides a successful organization from a not successful organization. The first challenge that we talk about now that we talk about healthcare, and these are modern challenges, is big data. Like I said during the point on cybersecurity, we are collecting data at every single point, and it is becoming not just the personal data of the patient, but also the data of the doctor, the data of the clinic, the data corresponding to epidemics like during the current pandemic corona. We need data. We need data like to understand who the patient was in touch with before they got infected, who else they could have infected, where all have they been traveling, what are the contact points, how do we use data to understand the pattern of a disease is also another part of data. It's not just about the patient or the doctor or the hospital. It's also about recognizing patterns of a disease, recognizing patterns of DNA sequencing, recognizing patterns of hereditary diseases that we can also track back to data. After all, DNA is nothing but a repository to hold data. So these are just some examples of how big data is available. The challenge is how do we capture it, make sure that it's in a structured way available so that data scientists can work on it and make applications on top of it. And the last, but I'm sure not the most exhaustive in this list, is digitization of health records. I put this in the end because I think this, and it's not just me, experts all over the world are in alignment that if we want to build something, if we want to really go and take a step into the modern world of modern healthcare, we need to have digital health records, which means what it means in simple terms is that if I go to a doctor and I am filling up a form with my name, with my disease, and the doctor is giving me a treatment plan, they're doing some diagnostics, they are giving me a prescription. I should not have to carry all of this with me. If I change my doctor, I should not have to then give this to another doctor and then have them make me fill up the same form and then have them give me another test. Why don't you go and do another X-ray or go and do another MRI? I should not have to do that. Everywhere I go, across hospitals, across geographies, no matter which country I am in, my health record should be digitally available. There are many, many reasons for this. Of course, there's convenience, there's accuracy, nothing is lost, so there's completeness of record. There's also the fact that this can be used, my records can be used to predict if I'm going to fall ill or to predict if I have a genetic predisposition to another disease and then help me not just to treat a disease, but also to prevent disease. And there are multiple applications of digital health records. Just like we have an Aadhaar card today for as an electronic identity of every citizen, we need to have digital health records so that we can identify and help people not just treat disease, but also prevent them. So there are some industry predictions that I brought with me today. What do you think is going to happen in the healthcare sector in the next 10 years? What do you think? Who do you think is going to be? What are the kind of roles that are going to be there? How fast is it going to grow? How is it going to touch our lives? How is it going to be affected? And what is it going to be affecting? And the answer is smart hospitals and more demand. Smart hospitals are hospitals which are not like your there's a building, there's a doctor, you go into the reception, you put your name in, then you wait in the waiting room and everything goes just like we see it today. We need smart hospitals because we don't just need them. They're actually already a presence in most countries in the world and in India in a lot of cities. We need smart hospitals urgently. And by smart hospitals, I mean the hospitals that answer the challenges that I've mentioned in the previous slide, that have better customer experience, that know how to handle big data, that know how to protect their customers' patient details and privacy, that know how to be able to predict disease and be able to create the right environment for a patient to find the best care that they need. No, and these smart hospitals are not just available physically, they are also virtually available. So telehealth is sorted for. Smart hospitals cater to the challenge of also invoicing and payment. So they help you to make your payments faster and easily and securely. So the need for smart hospitals is very obvious as we see that the 6 challenges that I spoke about are going to be in place and we can only do this with smart hospitals. And now that we've spoken about the smart hospitals, I will talk about the demand part of it. What is the demand for? We have a growing demand for management positions in healthcare. There is a 21% increase predicted in the number of health service managers worldwide by 2026. This, if you want to compare it to other industries, is 3 times the rate of growth for all occupations over the next decade. So imagine that. If the healthcare industry is growing, the demand for healthcare management professionals is growing, and it's growing at 3 times the rate for any other industry. So you can already see the prediction happening and how it applies to you. Now, what are the different roles that are available for people who have a management career in healthcare? So of course, there are the conventional roles like a health administrator. This is a person who is in charge of something like a WHO project, or he or she does administration for a certain organization. Even corporations today, like tech corporations and government organizations, have a health administrator to make sure that the health and safety of their employees is kept on demand. You also have clinical research managers. And again, I keep going back to this, but I think this is the closest to us is the corona pandemic. There was a ton of clinical research happening to be able to look at the first tests that we wanted to develop, and B, the how we call it Impfstoff, the vaccination that we wanted to develop. And we really saw a worldwide demand increase for clinical research managers. But this is not just for corona. The corona part was just acute and immediate. Clinical researches are going on not just in the pharmaceutical industry, but also heavily in the beauty and fashion industry. And all of these require managers at this level who can oversee the clinical research happening here. Then we have the social media directors. Every hospital, every organization, every presence today has a virtual presence online. And this will be needed to be managed by somebody. And those are going to be the social media directors who are going to be define the strategy and the vision and be able to communicate this not just to patients, but also to other collaborators, investors, brands, and partners. We also have nursing home administrators and clinic managers, which are self-explanatory. And then a very important role, which is new, is health information managers, which is the closest to an IT manager that we have, which is a very new field coming up as a role as a manager in healthcare. Health information would be, again, to go back to the digital health records that I spoke about, the big data that I spoke about, and how do we make sure that that patient information is managed properly, the health information is being used in a way that helps them and in a way that catapults the organization to the next level as a smart hospital. Again, going back to the comparable occupational growth, these numbers are from Michigan State University predictions and Bureau of Labor Statistics, US Department of Labor. You can already see that between 2019 and 2029, this decade, medical and health service managers, the growth is 32%. All healthcare occupations outside of management, including doctors, is only 15%. It's a good growth, but it's less than the managers. Other management occupations are outside of healthcare is only 3%, and all occupations see a 4% growth. So you can already see that healthcare is seeing the maximum amount of growth, and healthcare management is seeing 32% growth, which is way more than you can see in any other industry. And if this doesn't hit home, let me talk now directly about the most important takeaway that everybody must remember. This pandemic that happened has affected a lot of industries, and this is what it did. This is how Corona infected not just us, but also the financial industrial landscape. Healthcare is a stable sector. As you can see, during this 1 year of pandemic, the healthcare and government and education industries are the only ones which have seen growth. There have been finance, telco, professional services, and utilities, which everybody needs no matter what, so they have stayed neutral. Of course, manufacturing, retail, wholesale, personal services, transportation especially have seen a strong negative growth. But as you can see from this graph already, the strongest and the most positive growth has been seen in the healthcare sector. So now I want you to just, you're very, like all of you are smart people, you are in a very esteemed university, you are students here, so you have already started connecting the dots. And these are the things you need to take into mind, saying that, all right, what helps me get to do something in which not only serves me, is highly stable, and is going to be a good, and it has so many new innovative rules coming up. So it's not boring at all. It's actually really interesting. Then this is what the conclusion, if you're drawing the same conclusion as I drew when I looked at this data, I can only conclude that healthcare is a promising field for young management professionals like you, and health tech is just one part of a stable industry, which allows one also to do good as well as practice something that helps others. I mean, a lot of us wanted to be doctors, and some of us did not. And a lot of us wanted to be doctors so that we could help others. And this is the next way to do it, and still be able to do something which is interesting, which is stable, which helps us and others. Therefore, I invite you to give this a serious thought when choosing your elective in your future career steps. If not, still now you are a little bit richer in knowledge, hopefully, about the healthcare sector. So you might be sitting and asking, what do I do next? What is it in for me? So you could be part of the healthcare sector, or you could decide not to do it. In any case, I would invite you to come and connect with us. Just take a look at what HealthFrax is doing. Take a look at what the industry looks like. We are doing a lot of lecture series. We have a lot of content that we are producing. We are doing videos. We like to stay in touch with you. And you can connect with us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook. Our handle is HealthFrax. Come, let's have a conversation and let's talk. With this, I will say stay safe, stay healthy, wear a mask, wash your hands, and please register yourself on the CoWIN app for the COVID vaccination. Thank you.
Guys, if you do have any question, you just raise your hand or write in your chat box so that I'll ask the question. Yes, Vishal, you want to ask anything, please?
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am. This side Vishal Sharma, MBA CISM second year. Ma'am, my question is that you talked about the problems that managers have in healthcare sector. But I think the main problem for any manager is the policies of that company. So how in healthcare sectors manager cope up with that?
Hi, Vishal. Thank you so much for the question. It's a really intelligent question because I think you're absolutely right. We all want to do the right thing, and then we face some constraints in the real world, right? Now, if you're talking about healthcare, there are two kinds of constraints or two kinds of policies. One is the policy that is decided by the government of the country where the organization or the company is based out of. These are mandatory. You cannot escape them. And these are something that are put in place for the safety and security of the patient as well as the doctors. So as a healthcare manager, it would be your duty to equip yourself and to make sure that you keep yourself aware of the government regulations and the policies. Now, the next level of policies that you may be talking about, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is the policies of the organization itself. Like, this is how we do things, this is what works for us, and this is how you're going to be doing things. Did I get that right, Vishal?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here's the thing. When you start off, yeah, you will be starting maybe not as a very big influencer within the company, and this is true. But as you grow and as you prove your worth and as you keep yourself updated about other things and you can't contribute, you will find yourself in a position, and especially as a management position, you will quickly find yourself in a position where you will be able to, through data and through showing how work happens, be able to influence the decision makers in the company. And this is true not just for healthcare, this is true even for Zalando, where I work. This is true for every company where the leadership has an open minded approach, but they have been doing things a certain way. And if you can prove your worth and if you can prove with data or with examples, you can do small pilot tests, you can make little projects that happen. And then when you prove that these projects have been successful, you can already then go into leadership team, talk to them, and make this pilot a bigger project and expand it throughout the organization. I would like to give you an example of this. But yeah, so for example, if you want to, if you're very sure that including, let's say, Paytm is a very good idea for payments for your hospital, but your hospital administration does not agree with you, you can always say, all right, you can go out and do some research. You can go out and look at competition, and if for those of them who actually included Paytm in their payment methods, or you could actually start small pilot and start doing this within one branch of the hospital, uh, and prove the case in using these three different examples to the management that, hey, this is working, let's do it. Once you have proof and data, there are very few managers or very few leaders who will say no to you. And if they do, then probably you should think about another place to work, because this place is not going to be very successful if they can't experiment, you know. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, Vishal.
Yeah, Dr. Anamika, there is another question from Mr. Mohit Jain. He is from MBA background. He is saying that, good evening, ma'am.
Hi.
What are the scopes for business analytics students in the healthcare sector? Is there any opportunity for the students who are from the business analytics domain? They are working towards the analytics, so that they are.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We all need business analytics. We need product analytics. I mean, Yojana ma'am can actually vouch for this. Even when she was starting Health Prax, one of the first things that they did was research. And using business analysis, they actually went into what the whole product market fit looks like, and like there are multiple steps throughout the journey of our product that we will be needing BA. So yes, I would say that as a business analyst, you can look at certain fields which are like more pertinent to you. One of them would be healthcare technology products, because we are looking for BAs there. One of them could be hospitals, which smart hospitals, which are hiring BAs in order to help them understand how to cope with the demand and where to put the next dollar in, you know, where to invest and how to make sense of all the big data that is coming in. Another place where business analysts can be really helpful is in the payment sector for healthcare, in the healthcare insurance sectors, and a very new and cool upcoming field of actually not really now upcoming, but after this Corona crisis, would be medical tourism, is where business analysts are high in demand. Telemedicine, maybe not yet, but in another 2 to 3 years, yes, telemedicine will also need a lot of good business analysis as it becomes more and more acceptable and useful. I'm talking about the India, US, and European markets.
Yeah, great. And Samiha Anwar is there. Samiha, do you have any question, please? Ask.
Hi, Ramya.
Yes, sir. Hi, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am, and thank you so much for an informative session. Ma'am, I just wanted to know, like, as a business development student, like how, and I'm a first year student, so can you please throw a light on what, like how I can help pracs, and what and some qualities I should focus upon, or what I should aim for if I would want to join it in the future?
That's a really good question. Samiha, can I ask a little bit more about what you're doing right now? Like, I know that your degree, but is there a specialization or?
It's like I'm doing BBA in business development. Yes, ma'am, that's my specialization, and one of the interesting subjects, like which I feel about, is competitive intelligence. So it's all about like what like the competitor company is doing and how we can, improve ourselves. Like if I'm in a company, so it's all about learning those things.
Yeah. Okay, this is interesting because we did a lot of competitive analysis in the last 3 months. Actually, we have been doing that ever since we started. To talk particularly about health pracs, I think the right people would be right person would be Yojna ma'am, because right now what I would say is I don't know if you have to do I don't know if you're interested in doing an MBA after this, and if you are, then would you be interested in doing something in healthcare management? But while you're doing your BBA, if you're really interested in health pracs or in the healthcare industry per se, I would suggest that while you're doing your competitive analysis, take a look at what are the other players in the market, and maybe try to understand what, for example, Practo is doing, what Librate is doing, what are the different companies like a CureFit or a CureFit, exactly, right? They are doing. So there are many players in the market. They have different reach. They have different penetration into the different market sectors. That could be really useful for you to know, because then we will be able to understand where health pracs fits when we do come out with it. We are right now also releasing some blogs, and if you have something to contribute, if you find out something, if you're able to, like, if when you're doing your research, you see something interesting that somebody else is doing, I'd be happy to. You can always reach out to us. You can go to our website. There's an email. Reach out to us, and we'll be happy to get back to you personally.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, but Samik,
Parth,
I would.
is there, Parth, you do have any query, any question? Parth.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. I'm a student of BBA BD.
Hi.
Hi. So, ma'am, you mentioned cyber security. Do you think cyber security would be successful in India? Because a lot of people have really they have some backwardness about this term cyber security.
Yeah,
So, would it
Parth,
be
that's.
successful?
Yeah, so you're right about, like, you have to look at it, from a future point of view, right? I agree with you that right now, like, we have the cybersecurity cell also in the Indian police services, which is not very advanced. But to be honest, like in the healthcare industry, we do have certain requirements that need to be fulfilled. For example, cybersecurity in India, we are coming up with a new rule for, I think that's the Internet Security Act 2020 or 2021, which will take care of, which has a subsection in it which talks about healthcare and data related to health. Another thing that we at Health Pracs are doing, and which basically everybody does when handling patient data, is they follow HIPAA protocol in databases. So that makes even if the Indian laws do not govern this, international laws govern this. So that means that if your database, if any data warehouse, or if your data is stored anywhere outside of India, it will have to conform with the HIPAA laws and regulations. Another thing that happens is, as we look into the future, any company which is not, so let's talk about the corporate sector, because in the corporate sector is highly competitive. Any company which is not able to take care of its patients or its customers, doctors, hospitals' data, if there is a leak or something happens, instantly they're going to fail. And yeah, this maybe competition and staying in the field in the industry is kind of like an incentive for all companies to make sure that the data that they store, they make sure that it's stored properly, and there's all levels of security for this data. To address cybersecurity from a point of view of what the government is doing, I guess I'm not the right person. But I think, like, when in the corporate sector, yeah, this is one of the reasons that cybersecurity can actually work, and it should work. And they're absolutely something that every health tech corporation, this is one of the first criteria that we look at.
Great answer.
Dr.
Amita, ma'am.
It was really informative, really information.
Thank you so much.
And ma'am, you're really beautiful.
Thank you so much, Pat. I can't see you.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Anamika ma'am, there are two more students, Raj Kurian and Rishabh Rajan, they do have the questions. Raj, please ask question.
First of all, good evening, ma'am. I'm Raj Kurian from MBA Business Analytics, first year.
Hi, Raj.
And ma'am, my question is that as a business analyst, do we need to learn anything about healthcare sector if we are joining the sector as a business analyst? Because we need to do future predictions and all regarding the sector. That's why I have this question.
So if you like, let's take it one thing at a time, right? Leave aside business analytics. If you want to join an industry, then I think the fastest route to success is to learn as much as you can about that industry. If you want to join the health industry, I think it's one of the best industries to join for all the reasons that I mentioned. But if you want to join the health industry as a business analyst, it's absolutely essential to not just know about generally what the health industry is, also go a little bit further and see, maybe talk to people who are working in this industry and see, ask them what they have to deal with every day. That would be one way of going about it. Another way of going about it is to subscribe to industry news on Medium, which is a blog, right? And there's also industry news across. The internet is full of it. So if you don't do it, somebody else will do it, and then they would probably be a better fit. And in any case, business analyst or not, like, you're absolutely right. You have to predict the future, but also you have to write it. When you're analyzing something and you find patterns that nobody else has seen, you will only be able to create something in the future when you see, all right, you see the pattern, but you'll be able to connect the dots if you know what is going on in the industry, right? If you don't know that, but you connect the dots and you create a pattern, you will only have the pattern. But if you have the knowledge on top of it, that's the recipe for creating something way bigger than just analyzing the business needs. If you understand what I'm saying here.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, because of the database purpose, what the data has stored, we have to analyze on that and the what reviews we are getting.
Yeah. Okay, so this is like one part of what you do, right? But so this is like a task. Am I right? Like, this is more execution, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So as a business leader, you want to think of not just execution, but also like strategy, right? You have to look at what's going to happen in the future. So while you're very good at what you do when you're executing and you're looking at databases, you should have the industry knowledge so that you can connect this to the industry knowledge. So give you an for example, yes, a lot of your patients or a lot of patients, imagine you're working in a hospital and patients are constantly coming and complaining um, about the lack or the waiting times at reception for one of the departments, right? As a business analyst, maybe, I don't know, if you're reporting it and then you're bringing it up and you're going to leadership and saying, hey, we need to do something about waiting time. But on the other hand, if you're keeping up with the industry, what you can also say is, hey, so the people are complaining about waiting times. Waiting times have gone up by X%, which has led to a patient drop in this percent. Therefore, I recommend that we can look into telehealth. We can look into remote consultation. Maybe we can look into mass consultation. We can look into preventive healthcare. We can look into, because I have read about this and this is happening in the industry. This is how they solved this problem in this company or in this country. You know what I mean? So right now you're identifying the problems, and if you keep up with the industry news, you will be able to also like match this to the solutions and in a very strategic way match the tactics to the strategy and come up with something which could actually be implemented as a whole new solution and you would own it. So I think to build something new, yeah, if that makes sense.
Thank you, ma'am, for the information.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
A great answer. Rishabh Razdan, please ask.
Yes. Good evening, ma'am. So I'm a final year student, and so I just wanted to know, instead of going for a complete 2 years postgraduate diploma in healthcare, are there some kind of 1 year courses which provide specialization, like the 1 year courses for data sciences and business analytics? So do you have any idea if there are any 1 year courses in some good colleges, something like that?
Actually, no, I would not be the right person to answer this question because it depends on where you want to do it. And 1 year courses could be a diploma or a degree, or it could even be a post graduation. If you're talking about, say, the United Kingdom, they have a 1 year MBA. But
Correct.
if,
Yeah.
but if you're like, what I would suggest is that so today was probably the first introduction to all the different roles, right? Rishabh, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
what I would
Correct. Yes.
suggest is, what I would suggest is find, like, if you have the recording of the presentation, or if you want to go and check it out, find out what area you actually like, and then maybe find a course in that. I'm not sure if 1 year would be the right time. It doesn't really matter. When we hire, we want people who really want to do things and who really know how to do them and are enthusiastic, are knowledgeable, and are willing to learn more. So
Actually, I was suggesting the 1 year. I was suggesting the 1 year course, not like for a faster post graduation. There is 1 year specialization courses apart from the additional MBA which I will do. There are these 1 year specialization courses. I was talking about one of those because that would, I think, give me a boost in the thing, because I'll have 1 year extra to those people who just have a simple 2 year degree MBA. In that way, I was referring to.
I see. No, then I'm not sure if I'm the right person for this because I'm not aware of all the different courses. I can refer you to a very, very well-known, he's a friend of mine and he's very good. I'm not trying to promote him, but he's very good at what he does. His name is, you must have heard of him, Mr. Jitin Chawla. He really keeps himself updated about all the new career, like all the new courses that are coming up for like specializations, not like what you said, like 2 year, 3 year conventional courses, but like really specialized 6 months, 1 year courses that help you to like get that edge over people who are just.
Can I get your email ID or something so that we can discuss this further?
It's on the HealthPrax website.
Okay.
An open email ID.
Okay.
It's
Thank you so much.
www.healthprax.com.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions from any of the students? Any student, if you do have any question? Last question. If
I really appreciate so many questions because it means that there is a huge interest, and I really appreciate curiosity in the audience. It's really good. So nice.
Thank you, ma'am. And Dr. Abhishek Singh, yeah, Simran, please ask anything, whatever you do have the query, please.
Yeah. Ma'am, first of all, I would like to say really beautiful.
Thank you so much, Simran. Oh,
and definitely a lot intelligent because we got a lot of insights from you.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Ma'am, my question is, like, now we are through with we'll be through with our MBAs and we would know. So can we like still get into the healthcare sector without having any other degree to pursue? Like, if I'm doing MBA business analytics, so can I still apply for companies abroad, like in the healthcare sector, or I would still require a degree to go through it?
So first of all, business analytics is quite in demand. Let me tell you a little bit about my journey. Secondly, I'm a dentist, right? Then I did an MBA in hospital administration and healthcare. And my first job after MBA, and then I had my own company for some time. But my first job after that was not in a healthcare sector. It was in Flipkart. And I was working in the fashion sector. So there is basically the skills that you learn when you're doing your MBA, especially when you're doing something like BA, which is highly analytical, right, are transferable to different industries. So what I would say is that yes, it is definitely possible to just go out there and look at opportunities which are available and apply. But here's what I did. When I wanted to join Flipkart, I did not know anything about the e-commerce industry. So I educated myself. I spoke to people who were already working in Flipkart or at Amazon, or at that point we had Buy Hatke or something. I spoke to a lot of people. I attended seminars like these. Just wanted to understand what the industry is about. What are the different KPIs that we use? What is the terminology, so that when they interview me, I should know what I'm talking about. And that's what people are looking for. What they want is somebody who shows curiosity, has knowledge, is hardworking. You're already an MBA, so that's amazing. That's on top of everything else. And you have business analysis skills. So what I would suggest is, my answer shortly would be yes, it's possible. Long answer would be, like, I think I already mentioned this when that please make sure that the industry you're interested in, read about it, learn about it, talk to people, find an internship or two if you can, get in touch with us, get in touch with other players in the market, see if you can do a project with them, see if you can just be with them for 6 months, shadow somebody, and they will never say no unless they are really closed up or unless it's really confidential. So yeah, it is possible, step by step.
Thank you, ma'am.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes,
Rishabh,
ma'am.
Yes,
again,
ma'am,
you
Rishabh here once again. I just wanted
yeah,
to ask,
Rishabh,
in this
again, you are
healthcare.
having question. So this will be the last question, I hope.
Yeah, I
Rishabh,
think this
Yeah,
would be,
please.
yeah.
in MBA healthcare, does it matter which college I come from? Like, does the college power, not the degree power and not my education, but the college power, does it affect the opportunities I will get in the future or something like that?
You're talking about the MBA college?
Yeah, the MBA college. Because we've seen in India, there's always a situation that if you're from a better college or if you're from a very powerful college like IIM, it will help you give a career boost and all. So does it affect in that in healthcare sector also?
So here's the thing about this sector. I mean, you're not wrong when you say that there's a brand and awareness about that helps. But in the healthcare sector, if are you doing an MBA? Can I ask you what you're doing an MBA in?
I've just finished with my BBA. I'm almost finished, and I'm just applying for my MBA. That's why I'm asking.
Okay. So the healthcare sector is a little bit specialized. So if you're doing an MBA in healthcare management, then it doesn't really matter, because today we have Symbiosis, we have the institutes in Jodhpur and Jaipur, we have one in Hyderabad. There are not a lot, and they are not. There is no such niche right now. So you can definitely. It doesn't really matter. From my college, what I know is that the placement cell works really hard for everybody, but ultimately it's up to you. If you are able to find an internship in a place which will later offer you a job, or after your MBA you're able to connect with somebody who's working at a place. Don't depend on your college is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, the college can help you with their placement cells, and this is what a good college always does. But I would say think beyond this. Think of what you can do and connect with people already. Not just LinkedIn, but also like attend some health seminars. There are going to be conferences again soon, which are not virtual. Meetups will have people. There are a lot of meetups which happen on healthcare in the healthcare sector that you can be part of and connect directly with the industry. Connect directly with CEOs. Connect directly with heads of product, heads of business, heads of strategic functions, heads of collaboration and branding. You can directly talk to them, and it's good to have a college, but the best thing is to think beyond it. Just depend on yourself. Go out and create your own network, talk to people, and keep yourself updated on the industry. If you impress somebody who's at the right place, or if you are impressed by somebody who's at the right place, and you guys find a connection and talk about it, then you don't have to depend on the college at all.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome. So I think that would have been the last question. I just want to remind everybody about what we do at HealthPrax just a little bit. HealthPrax is like the X in HealthPrax is a cross, which means we are a cross between healthcare and technology. What we aim to do is we want to transform the Indian healthcare setup. We want to create those smart hospitals that I spoke about, and the clinics is the future India, and not just in Delhi, Bombay, big cities, in every single village and town in India. And this is where we want to drive our health tech innovations, and not just India, but hopefully also in the future more. But yeah, if you want to learn more about us, it's www.healthprax.com. We are on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, great, ma'am. Very nice. Ishan, that was the last question. But yes, please ask. Ma'am, I would like to request you to have one more question. This is Ishan Jain from MBA, Business Analytics.
Ishan, hi.
This is the last question.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us your insights. And first of all, I want to say that you are and
Sorry, there was something in the background.
Ishan, ask your question. Yeah, we are not getting your question, please. Yeah, you are audible, but there are some noises coming out from outside.
Okay, sir. So I am asking that. Ma'am, I'm asking that is there any opening or like opportunity for us for a business analyst in your company?
Oh, I'm not the right person right now. I would say that I think the best person to answer that would be Yojna. What I can say is that please get in touch with us on the website, and there's a form you can fill up, and we will get back to you personally on your personal approach. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Anamika, for giving the insights. And I would like to request Dr. Abhishek Singhal. Sir, I would like to request you to kindly propose the vote of thanks for this excellent session, please.
Sure, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. First of all, apologies because unfortunately my laptop stopped working, so I have to log in from my mobile phone.
This happens sometimes.
To all of us. Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Miss Anamika and Miss Yojna, for sparing a lot of time for our students and taking up almost all questions. I was like hearing all the questions pertaining to innovations, to strategy, to cyber security. Almost, I guess you have touched upon each and every area. So thank you so much, ma'am. And I believe that at HealthPrax, you guys are doing a wonderful job, and soon we are going to see new revolutions in terms of healthcare, new embedded technologies in healthcare sector. So all the best to you, ma'am, and thank you so much indeed for sparing your valuable time for us.
Thank you so much for hosting us, Dr. Singhal. This is really nice, and we all appreciate it from HealthPrax. And thank you so much for all the wonderful questions. I love this audience. It's one of the best ones. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye. Signing off. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Anka, for your time, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Guys, you can leave the session, please.